So we are recording. Today we're going to be talking about unleashing the power of the Plex document control system, or the DCS. Many of you already use the document control system, whether you know it or not, but you may not be using it to actually control documents. It may be a repository for certain documents, maybe supplier documents and such, maybe attachments. Most folks that use Plex are familiar with the attachment system, and they utilize that, not realizing that in doing so, they're actually using document control. So with that, we'll begin. I'm going to give a little presentation here, and then we'll dive right into Plex. So our agenda today is to talk about the document control system. What is it exactly? And how can we use it to be compliant? Most of you are manufacturers. Most of you in doing manufacturing adhere to some kind of standard, whether it's an internal standard, a customer standard, a regulatory standard, or maybe a general industry standard. Everyone that I am familiar with, everyone that I've come to know, has some type of document control at its core. So Plex inherently, the use of document control system does make you compliant with most of those systems. We're going to talk about getting started using the document control system, how to add documents, how to secure documents, and some hidden gems. So thank you again for attending. We realize that everyone right now is in some kind of configuration mode in these crazy times. You're maybe actually implementing some modules that you didn't because you have the time to, or maybe now you're looking to take advantage, become more efficient, so that you can be successful when we come out of these crazy times. We put together this presentation with you to share knowledge. This is not a sales pitch. We want to be part of your community and are part of your community, and we will continue to do sessions like this. If you like what you see, we'll add you to our mailing list. Feel free to share with anyone in your organization. This is not limited to our customers at Control+M, but it's good for the community as a whole, we believe. And again, we'll post this on our YouTube channel and our website so that you can review later. My name is Ken Keller. I'm a consultant with Control+M. I've been using Plex since 2004 as a customer, and I've been consulting since 2009. And that's all I'm going to say about myself or Control+M. As we said, this is more about sharing with the community. Oh my gosh. So what is the document control system exactly? The document control system is a location to store and view your electronic documents in Plex. They could also be websites and things like that. We'll talk about that in a little while later. It's the controlled layer between the user and the files that you store here. Inherently meets ISO requirements or those other industry standards that we were talking about. It is a document approval system, and we'll talk about how most compliance systems do require some type of document approval system. We can manage revisions and revisions history. We can assure accuracy. We can improve communication amongst everyone in your organization through document control. We can allow for securing of sensitive documents. Those can be shared with supplier and customer users. And it supports a variety of document file types, including video files. So from a compliance standpoint, Plex document control is a true document control system. In looking at just ISO 9001, which many industry standards are based upon, you'll see that the change between ISO 9001, 2008, and the 2015 really had to do with document control. So organizations must establish a documented procedure to approve those documents, make sure that they're adequate prior to issue, review and update as necessary, and reapprove. So we've got to identify the changes that the current document revision holds, what changed, what make relevant documents available at various points of use within processes, so readily available. Ensure that the documents remain legible and readily identifiable. So can we control printed documents? Identify external documents and control their distribution, prevent obsolete documents from unintended use, and then apply some identification if those documents are obsolete. Again, I'm going to ask if you're not muted, please go ahead and mute yourselves, just so the recording comes across clear. Thanks. Getting started, we're going to talk a little bit about Plex today for you that are classic users still and those that are UX users. The document control system, although different in appearance, is very similar. The control of documents is exactly the same. Some may feel that there are some added little features in the UX environment, but we're going to talk today how you can take advantage of some of those UX tools in the classic environment. But getting started, for those classic users, you should configure the PC that you're using, the device that you're using to access Plex for optimal use of the DCS. And this is easily accomplished via the PC setup button. Many of you are aware of that, but if you find yourself having trouble accessing documents or getting certain errors, just make sure that your PC is set up correctly. For UX users, the Plex WebSocket plugin is required to check out documents for editing within the DCS, as well as for adding documents via the scan document action that we're going to talk about here in a moment. So next is the universal attachment system. Most of you know this as the paperclip icon in Plex. So in many different modules, you'll see that the ability to attach a file. That actually is being stored in the document control system and can be accessed within the document control system. So if I attach something, for example, here in the supplier list to a specific supplier, I may not have to go through all of my suppliers to find that again. If I have access to system folder contents view, which would give me access to the universal attachment system in Plex, then, and if I have that permission, I would be able to view it directly from the document control system. I'm going to give a little word of warning though, that is a little dangerous because many of those documents, maybe you don't want everyone to have access to or to see, you just want those folks to have the ability to attach. Some consideration should take place internally in your organizations before you give any type of security to or permission to folks. But if I do have permission, then I can see my universal attachments in folders within the document control system. When we add documents in Plex, files can be added via upload, links to files on connected network. So I can link documents that are on my personal PC, documents that are on my company's network. I can reference documents already in the document control system. I can add files from templates, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. I think an underutilized tool in Plex. We can take report snapshots. So we all use Plex and likely purchase Plex because of its real-time ability to show us things in real time. So when it comes to documents, spreadsheets, and things like that, it's only as accurate as the moment that we hit print. So in terms of a report in Plex, if we want to capture a historical record or a snapshot of that, there are ways to do that in the document control system and add those as controlled documents. Because if you remember in the ISO requirements, that was one of the things that would be required in ISO 9001:2015. We can actually store web addresses as documents. This would come in handy if I am a supplier to a customer and that customer has a supplier manual that by compliance standard must be accurate, must be up to date. If your customer puts the most up to date version on their website, actually linking to that URL can come in handy so that you don't have to every day, every week, every month go out there and see if your customer has updated their supplier manual. And then finally, the scan document. So we can take a printed paper copy, scan it into an electronic file, and save that into Plex. This is a good example of the difference between UX and Classic. You'll see we have the same abilities in both, but maybe just a little different view, and in this case, a little different order to how we add documents. When it comes to securing documents, we can secure the folder in which the document resides, or we can secure the document itself inside of the folder. Done pretty simply with view permission. So anyone without this permission would not be able to view. Anyone with this permission would be able to view the documents within a folder or access the folder. If you do secure this way, you just don't see it. If you don't have the permission, you don't see the document. It's not like something where we open it up, but then we can't view it. We just don't see that the document or the folder exists at all. So again, a little word of warning here, make sure that the right people have the right access, and a little internal dialogue to make sure that that I guess some thought needs to go into how we secure these things. There are also multiple permissions when it comes to the document control systems, the ability to add documents and copy documents and delete documents. But I want to talk briefly about one permission here called the document master. The document master allows any user that holds that permission to edit any and all documents. We're going to actually go in today, deep dive, and actually create some approvals, and you'll see the editors, which Plex calls champions there. Anyone with this document master ability would be able to edit the document, whether or not we place them on the individual document as an editor or champion. So just a little word of warning there. If you find yourself, people have access that you don't want them to have access, or where you don't want them to have access, take a look at that document master permission. The ability to download email documents, those are all control buttons that appear in Plex, and we'll take a look at that as well. So before we get started into the deep dive into Plex, I really wanted to give you some little tools here that maybe you can come away from this feeling like you've gained some knowledge and gained something new. So for you UX users, you already have the drag and drop feature in Plex. You can load multiple documents at once or upload multiple documents into Plex at once. I know from personal experience that many folks decide not to use Plex as a document control system because they see that it's heavy in removing documents from whatever system I'm using now to control and getting those documents into Plex, setting all those different settings on each document, setting, uploading more than one document at a time. It's a time thing. I'm going to show you a couple simple tools today to help with that and maybe get you over that hurdle so that you can use Plex as your document control system if that's the thing that's holding you back. So there is a method in Classic that allows you to basically do the drag and drop function or upload multiple documents at once, but you need to make sure that you have this setting turned on. The HTML5 upload control U setting allows you to do such a thing. And here in just a second, we're gonna show that. Also, on each document, there's the ability to set properties, the ability to upload, the ability to download, the ability to email. Those are all controlled via settings on the properties page for each document. But using document type, we can actually upload multiple documents at once, and they all inherit those settings based on the document type. If you've ever added a document into Plex and you just don't know where to find it, one of the easier tools to use is the master document list, which you can find in the report button in Plex document control. So let's say you created a file, you created it maybe last October, but you forgot what you called it or where you put it. This document, this report can allow you to see what documents have been added over time, and we can sort that report to find documents rather easily. And then for the Classic users, you can submit a case to Plex and ask that a document control system subfolder be created as a menu node. That is possible. So if you have multiple documents in the DCS, and you want to, let's say it's their HR documents and they're permissioned and so that no one else can see them, but you want them as a menu node, you can submit a case to Plex that can add that for you. And then in UX, you can do basically the same thing by adding that subfolder as a favorite. And just as you would any other favorite in your UX system, add the subfolder as a favorite, and it now would show up then in your favorites list. And then finally, in this time, we see that companies' workforce is expanding and contracting. So right now, many of you are contracting in size as we go through this COVID-19 issue with planned shutdowns, and we're saying, okay, at the end of the month, we're gonna rapidly expand and bring everybody back. If you're still working, but some of those folks that are on like a temporary layoff were document owners, document approvers, or document editors or champions, we'll talk a little bit about the replace user function in Plex so that we can quickly replace users who are owners or approvers until their return. So with that, let's dive right into Plex. All right, I'm going to go right into the document control system, and I want to show you that cool little tool, that HTML5 setting that we discussed, that allows you to upload multiple documents at once. So, for example, I've got a folder here in my document control system called the DCS webinar, and there are currently no documents in it. But if I wanted to upload multiple documents, get them out of my current document control system, and get them into Plex, I'd go to edit mode. That ability to go to edit mode is also controlled by a permission. And I would click the add button. And you saw this in the presentation earlier. We have the ability to upload files here or point to files that are currently on our network and scan documents. I'm going to upload. And with the setting HTML5 turned on, the screen for uploading appears a little differently, but you'll see this choose file button here and the document type file. The document type is a setup table where we can configure the settings that appear on each property page of a document. So if we wanted to have a distribution log, if we wanted to track revisions, store revisions, display a control filter, and require approvals, we can create a document type that has all of those settings turned on. And when we upload documents, if we choose one of those document types, all files that I upload at once will inherit those settings. So I'm going to click on the choose file here. And many of you have likely already used the document control system and added files. When you add to that paperclip icon, you're likely confronted with this screen as well. But you may not have known that you had the ability to upload multiple documents at once. So let's say I had this folder already created on my server and I wanted to get all those documents into Plex, and I wanted them all to have the same properties and the same settings. I would set the document type here, and then I could select all of the documents with that single click. And I can click open and upload multiple documents into this system. I won't do so because Plex will churn and churn on that as it uploads. These are heavy files, but it's an easy way to get multiple documents into the system at once rather than one at a time. In UX, if we were to do the same thing, you will have a drag and drop file here so I can pull files over. But if I click on choose files, you can see I have the exact same ability here in UX that I now have in Classic. So for you Classic users, if you don't have that setting turned on, I would highly recommend that you turn it on to begin uploading multiple documents at once. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about document control itself. So once we've got our documents into the system, how do we control this thing? How do we set approvers? How do we track revisions? If we look at a document, this is what most users would see. Most users that don't have the ability to edit, that are not document champions or approvers, or hold that document master permission. they would just simply see the document in the system, its current revision level, and maybe a revision log that tells them that they are using the most recent revision. So if I drill into that, I can see we're currently using revision 2. That's what's in green here. I can even see what maybe has changed versus revision 1. So in revision 2, we changed the font color to red. All right. So what if I'm an editor now and I wanted to change this document, I wanted to edit the document, having permission, I would see the edit mode button. I would click that and you can see that the screen now changes. I have a few more columns here and the ability to edit, the ability to re-upload a different document, copy into a different folder, cut and paste into a different folder, delete, which is dangerous, so it probably should be something that should be tightly controlled. Here are those details that we were talking about. So let's just jump right into the property screen. On the property screen, I can see a history, a revision history, whether or not the document is active or inactive. We can store inactive documents or obsolete, which meets that ISO requirement. Owners of the document are the people typically that are responsible for making sure that the document is accurate. They could be an approver, but don't have to be. They could be an editor, but don't have to be. The document type is what we were talking about before, where we can preset all the settings. There's our view permissions. There is the ability to review frequency for accuracy. So let's, again, as part of that ISO or other standard requirement for reviewing and approving documents for adequacy or accuracy, we can set a review frequency, let's say, of 365 days, and we're going to review the document for accuracy. And there are settings that will allow for emails to go out to the owner of the document stating, hey, it's time to review this document for accuracy. We can also generate a direct link URL to this. So as long as we have access to Plex, which all of you know, we just need an internet connection and the ability to use that IP. We can generate a direct link to the document in Plex. So if you're giving a PowerPoint presentation, you want to put some of your documents there. You don't have to download them to your PC. You can keep them in Plex and just use this link within your PowerPoint presentation. Used this many times before when presenting to my customer at their site where I wasn't connected to Plex or connected to my network. We have the ability to send revision email notifications. So if I were to revise and then approve this document, I can send notifications to a group of people in the team group setup or to people that hold certain security roles. And this is a great tool to use if we've changed a document, let's say as part of a problem control corrective action, we have to change a work instruction or maybe change an FMEA. It's some kind of document that we're storing in Plex. When we make that revision, we can automatically send an email to the end users or maybe even the supervisors of the folks who would use that new work instruction or that new process instruction to tell them there is a new revision out there and you need to train your people. So nice little handy tool there. Plex does control their own documents. So if we're going to store these things in the cloud, they're truly being stored in Plex's data center. Plex gives all of these documents a document number so that they are also document controlled where they're actually held. So in this case, this is document 20,719,144. The settings that we talked about before, the ability to have a distribution log, to lock the properties, track revisions, store revisions, display a control footer, require approvals. These can all be set again at the document type, or we can set them individually here. In references, so if we can store multiple documents, multiple copies of a document in Plex in different folders, we have the ability to have one master document that is the one that gets revised, and then have references to that in other folders, which means if I make a revision to the document in one folder, it's going to make the revision to the others. We can set whether these are read-only references, fully editable references, which at that point in time makes them two different documents, or say there are no references allowed, no ability to move this document or copy this document into a different folder. The viewable when checked out, allow printing, allow email, allow downloading, those control buttons on the document here, the ability to print, the ability to email. Show as a template, we're going to talk about briefly here in a moment, but for now I want to talk about document control. So when it comes to document control, we're really talking about tracking documents. So if the tracking document setting is not turned on, we don't really have the ability to add approvers. So we must turn on the track revisions at least to be able to require approvals. And if I click on the require approval settings, then I'm faced with an approver. I can choose from a list, and you can see that we just have 2 approvers here on the list. If we want to add someone to the approver list, I'm just going to launch a new session here and go to the user manager. These are flags that are on the user manager for each user that allows them to the ability to either edit documents as a champion or to approve documents as an approver. So I'm going to pick on Patty Nowak here and show you her user details screen, where down below we have a document champion flag and a document approver flag. By turning those on, that gives her the ability now to edit documents and approve documents and show up in the list of document approvers. I will give you a fair warning though. My experience is that it sometimes takes a couple seconds for that person to show in the list. So we'll see. Well, there it is, fast enough. So Patty shows up now as a document approver. So let's go ahead and add Patty as a document approver. And then champion means editor. If you see that in Plex, when it comes to documents, a document champion is a person that has the ability to edit a document. And I'm giving myself that ability as both the owner and the editor, but we could have multiple editors. If you have a document controller whose job it is to make those revisions, then you want to make sure that they have the document champion flag checked on their user details screen. So I'm going to update this document. So now if I wanted to edit this document, the first thing I would do is click the edit button here. And there's an error downloading the file. That's fun. Let's try this again. You're kidding me. So much for testing, huh? So we'll I'll show you how we do this. We're going to edit this way. So I've clicked on, oh goodness, what is going on here? I'm not going to show you editing today. But to edit the document, you would click on either the pencil or the document name. I guess we could try a different document. Let's try this. And we still don't have one, sorry. All right. So the ability to edit, we would click on the pencil here to edit the document. We would then make our change, and when we're ready, we would save that back into Plex. When we edit, we do get, instead of this error downloading file, we get a notification that says that the document is checked out here. Let's just try another. We've got a little bit of time. This is, let's just upload a file. So there we go. And we're going to track revisions, store revisions, require approvals, add an approver as me, add a champion as the editor as me, and upload. There we go. We're going to call this revision 1 and call it the initial upload. Now, if I want to edit, we're going to learn if this is a system issue or no, there we go. Good deal. So if I want to edit this document, and let's say I wanted to make this red, I could change the font. I could change the date. Let's do that. Let's change the date to April 7th, 2020. And we change the font to red. I'm going to go ahead and save this. You can see that I have this document. It's telling me that it's checked out by me, but if anyone else would happen to log into Plex and try to edit this very document, they would see a lock here that says that Ken Keller has it checked out at 10:31 a.m. Eastern time. So they would not be able to edit that document. So this is kind of a foolproofing that allows, or airproofing that allows for only one person to edit the document at a time. There are ways for us to see if documents have been checked out for long periods of time as the document admin here. But I'm going to go ahead and check in this document. You can see that Plex is now noting that this is revision 2 because I've made a change. Changed date and font. So I've changed the date and font color, and I'm going to click update there. And so now we can see that revision 2 is there. Since I was the document approver, Plex went ahead and automatically improved it. If I had added another document approver, it would be pending their approval. So let's look at the revision log now. There you can see the initial document that I uploaded. It was auto approved by Ken Keller. And then I made that revision 2, and it was auto approved by me again with those changes. Let's add a different now. I'm going to go ahead and go into the details, and we're going to add a different approver here. And we'll go ahead and add Jill as the approver. I'm going to go ahead and click the edit button. And I'm going to change the font color back to black. All right. And I'm going to check it back in. This will now be revision 3. And revision 3, clicked OK. And now you can see that this is revision 3, but it's pending. So if we were going to access this document anywhere in Plex, it would actually access revision number 2, because revision number 2 was the last one that was approved. So now it's waiting on Jill's approval now. Okay. When it comes to approvals, though, and we were talking about this state that we're in, where we're contracting, we're having some temporary layoffs, people are off work because of COVID-19 and shelter in place and quarantines. We may actually have users who are no longer in Plex, and we need to replace them in order to get this document approved. So let's assume that Jill is off and she's not going to be back for another couple months. There are ways in Plex for us to replace users. So if I click on the admin button, there is a replace user button here, and you can see there's my document that needs to be changed. And there's the approver. So it was approved by me, but it's pending Jill, and we know that Jill is out for the next few weeks. I can click this replace user button here, and I can say, okay, Jill's the current user. We're going to replace Jill with Ken as anywhere in Plex where Jill is the owner, the approver, or the champion. In this case, it's really the approver piece that we're worried about. But since Jill's going to be out for a couple weeks, we're going to replace her with me as owner, approver, and champion. And I'll update that. And as soon as I did that, it went ahead and updated and approved revision 3, because I was the initiator and I was also the ultimate approver. So that is the true, there's a very quick and dirty explanation of document control in Plex with approvers. And you can see it's actually quite simple. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slide deck here. And when document approvers are requested to approve a document, when it's time to approve a document. Document's been revised, an email goes out to the approver stating who revised a document, what the document name is, what changed, and then a link to view the document in the DCS, so that approver can very simply go into the document, look at the change, and then approve directly from their device in Plex. Very helpful, handy tool, and it's inherent in Plex. Talking a little bit more about document control, beyond the revision log, there is also a distribution log. In order to see the distribution log, we would have to turn on the distribution log flag on a document. But the distribution log covers that requirement of knowing where our printed documents are, of updating printed documents as well. Full document control. So I can say, okay, Patty printed this document, or it was just given to a location and was placed on a bulletin board somewhere. I can say that, hey, we gave her 1 copy or 2 copies, and those were controlled copies, printed with a footer as controlled and placed on the production bulletin board, or something like that, and click add. So now when I actually do my next revision, I can look at the distribution log and see where I need to go get the controlled printed documents, pull them down and replace them with the new revision, the newly revised document. All right, and then last, we want to talk about templates and a couple other little tools here. So when it comes to templates, I'm sure that all of you have some sort of printed, paper copy, or maybe electronic document where you are storing maybe a writable PDF, or maybe a Word document with formatted fields that allow somebody to enter data into that, and you're controlling that document as a template. When I add data to it, it becomes its own document that might also have to be controlled. In Plex, we would add the document as a template, store it as a template. And I don't remember if you remember here, but in the details section, there is a way for us to say show as a template. And so with that setting turned on for a document, it would now show up when I click this button as templates. So I'm now managing this template. If I would ever need to add details to it, I could view the document, add details to the writable document, save it as a different document number or document name, and I'm still managing my template as the true controlled document. All right. And then finally, we talked about some of those reports in Plex. The report like the master document list. If I click on the master document list, and if I remember that, hey, I added some document last October and I don't remember what I called it, I can just simply hit search. It's a different way to view all the documents that are in your document control system. This is a VP screen, so above the columns, you see my little cursor changes to a little pointer here. I can say, okay, I'm going to filter by add date. And if I filter by add date, then I can look and see those dates approximately when maybe I added this document to the system, even if I don't remember the name of the document or which folder I placed it in. So I'm not hunting through multiple folders. That's the master document report. There are also some reports out there for admins, and some of those reports would be reports that say who was the last person to check it out, how many documents have been checked out, and how long have they been checked out, and do we need to get with these people to tell them to check the document back in, and then what documents here are pending approval. And that is the very basics of the document control system, kind of covering those requirements that are found in many standards. like I said, many of you are likely using the document control system. Many are not using it as a true document control system, though. It's just a repository for documents. And so if you would like to see further information, we can certainly set up a second session, a more advanced session to go into some of the more advanced features of the document control system. Because Plex as a whole is built around this. I think it touches every module in Plex because there's always a way for us to attach some kind of document in those modules. So it's a very big module, it's very robust, and it does meet the needs of most folks when it comes to document control. So thank you very much, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up now for questions. So don't forget to unmute yourself if you have any questions.
Hey, Ken, this is Harvey from Dart Aerospace in Europe.
Hey, Harvey, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. That was a very good presentation. I did have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I hope other people will find these questions useful as well. With the Dart system, we have a number of documents and drawings that we have to control. Right now, we're using PDF copies of those drawings in particular as our controlled copies.
Okay.
They're created in a CAD program of some kind, and then we're creating a PDF copy. What I'm wondering is, if I want to link one of those PDF documents to a job or a work, to one of the paperclip links somewhere, I can do that quite easily. I know that part. But when that document gets revised, how do I keep that link but change the document?
So the link is actually a URL link that you're saying? So
for instance, I've got documents already in my DCS that are linked to control plans.
Okay.
There are documents in there. When those PDF documents, because I've created them somewhere else, now change, how do I upload those or put those into the system so that they can keep that link to the control plans? Good
question. I think I understand what you're saying here, and it's something that I did not talk about on this. Maybe we can talk about it in future, or you and I talk frequently, so we can take this offline. But I think what you're looking for maybe is this re-upload feature.
Okay.
So rather than edit the document, you would edit the document outside of Plex and then click the re-upload to upload a document and replace it here. That would keep the same link. It would especially if you've attached it to some folder somewhere or attached it to some universal attachment system folder somewhere. It's the re-upload feature, I think, is what we're looking for here.
Perfect. That sounds like that's exactly the answer.
Okay.
Second question, without hogging all the question time.
Sure.
We are imagining perhaps to upload many thousands of documents into our DCS.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some suggested organization that we should do to those so that Plex can manage it well, so that we can search for it well? Right now, to be honest, they're on a SharePoint site, and we're running, because there are so many of them, and the SharePoint site is on the cloud. The cloud doesn't have the capability to index enough files. And there's some files in there that I cannot find when I use the search function. I literally have to scroll through them to find the documents.
Okay.
Am I going to have the same problem if I put them all in one big folder in Plex?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the recommended action there, without knowing maybe as much as I should about your actual instance and case, I would think that some thought should go into folder structure. And then because you could have a matching folder structure in Plex that matches your folder structure in whatever system that you're currently using.
That's the problem. There is none.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have to build it. So build your folder structure in Plex. So when we add to add a folder, it's just simply the add button, and there's the add folder there, right? So build your folder structure. We can put subfolders and subfolders in subfolders, and then do your uploads based upon where you want those documents in the folder. So if I go back here again, here's my DCS webinar, and I click the add button. If you remember, if with that setting turned on, the HTML5 setting, if I click upload here, then I can go out into my whatever document control system I have, my SharePoint, whatever, and then pull all the documents that I want to place in the Plex folder, and then you're done, and do them all at once. I think that would be my recommended method. It's a little manual, but at least you can do multiple documents at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
That's very good. Thank you very much for the presentation. I will be quiet now, and other people can ask questions.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and hopefully things are good in the Netherlands.
Well, we have lots of COVID-19 cases, but the whole country is trying to stay self-isolated, which is difficult in a country with this kind of population in this small a landmass.
Sure. Well, good luck to you, and stay healthy. Anyone else? Any other questions out there?
Ken?
Yes.
This is Bruce Rice.
Hello.
When you went in and changed the owner of the documents,
Yes.
that changed all of the documents from to you in the system, right?
It did. Well, yeah. So when I replaced the user, it replaced any place that Jill's name appeared as either an approver, a champion, or an owner. Here, it replaced her name with mine. And we can do that with any document, or we can actually just say, I'm only going to change them wherever they are an approver or wherever they are an owner.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be all three, right?
But it impacts all the documents in the DCS, correct?
It does. It does. Yeah. So that would be the only time I would recommend that we do that is if somebody has left the organization, or maybe they're going to be leaving for some extended period of time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question, is to replace it, you would have to go through document by document to change it back
and find the document. So I was a Plex user before becoming a consultant. I did use the document control system, and when we did do something like this without that replace user, it was hard to find the documents where someone is an approver or an owner. So this replace user takes that out of the equation and just does it across the board. Yeah.
Thank you. Second question is about the revision log.
Yes.
So if someone clicks, if you would, the issue is sometimes people will click, track revisions, but
yes.
they won't click store the document.
Absolutely. I did kind of breeze over that, didn't I? So I love the store revisions. When a viewer uses the document control system, they will only see revision 3, the thing that's showing up here in green. They will never see revision 2 or revision 1. But let's say we're all Plex users and we're 10 years down the road, and this document has been modified so many times it doesn't even resemble the same document anymore. We may want to say, okay, what did this document look like when we originally made the document? What was its intent? By storing revisions, we can actually go back to the beginning and see that. If you're using any type of Windows type document control system, when you make a change and overwrite it, you either have to save it as a different file name. So now you're managing all these multiple documents, or you overwrite and so you never have access to the way it used to be. I love the store revision option here because we can always go back. If this revision 3 just doesn't work for us, I don't have to revise it again. I can just pull revision 2 back up and make that my current revision.
Yep. The issue is if you just go back to the one screen.
Yeah. So here,
when we see that note, if someone the issue we wind up with is people check the track revisions and they think it's going to store them also, but you have to check both boxes. And I've never seen anything in Plex that says a permission that we can say if you do track, it's going to automatically do store.
I have not either, but you may be able to utilize this document type because if we create a document type that has both the track revision and store revision turned on, it will automatically turn those flags on for us.
Yeah, that's what we do to help.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Ken.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Again.
Hello.
Josh from Supreme. One of the questions I had was with Plex not being able to print the revision or the revision date on a document from Plex.
Mm-hmm.
How do you typically handle that in the document? Are you typing that in an actual document, or are you just saying that the actual revision is what's in Plex?
That can be done. Yeah. Yeah. So, so it sounds like you're using paper copies, your printed versions of this.
There are times where we print it for the shop floor.
Okay. And who's this again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Joshua from Supreme.
All right, Josh. Hey, is it okay if I get back with you on that? I want to check out a couple little options to see if maybe those work for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we could, display a footer, a header, and things like that. I want to make sure that we cover all those options and make sure that I fully understand what the requirements are. And like I said, this might be a good topic, these type of topics for an advanced document control system webinar in the very near future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, Ken. This is Phil with ReadOn.
Hey, Phil.
If you change the folder type, will it automatically change all the documents inside the folder to the new setting?
No. There is a in the Plex community, there is a request out there that someone had made, I saw recently, to do such a thing. I can follow up on that for you, and get some information. And maybe when we do the advanced document control, if we can have somebody from Plex on the call and they can actually help us with that. If we as a group and as a community say this is something that we need, then maybe we can get that on the roadmap. So if you get a chance, go out to the Plex community, just do that search.
Mm-hmm.
Do that search for folder, DCS folder settings or something like that. You will likely see that post. Vote it up, and let's see what happens. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. Yeah, I know that's been requested from some other Plex users. Any other questions?
Yeah, Chris, Waukesha Metal Products.
Hey, Chris.
Is there any difference between controlling the documents in a folder that was manually created or through the UAS attachments?
Yes. Documents themselves really should be controlled through the DCS rather than through the UAS. Now, the UAS is a part of the document control system. I do want to state that. So if we go back here, you can say here are the UAS attachments, and if I have access to view these things, I can drill into one of these things, and I can if we have documents there. Where did I add one here? I think I added one to the supplier list or something like that. There we go. I can, drill into that document, but I can't really set those details that you're wanting to set. So what most people do is they, like Harvey was saying, they would create some folder structure in Plex and keep them there rather than in the UAS. The UAS is simply a simple way for us to attach documents to a record of receipt or a record of a part or of a gauge or something like that. That doesn't typically need revised, doesn't typically need to be managed, just needs to be reviewed and maybe locked down so that it cannot be revised and reviewed or deleted. Does that make sense?
Yes. Is there a way to move, if there's, say, 100 documents in the UAS, is there an option to move or copy those and put them into a created folder?
There is. So there's a copy function here. So I'm in a UAS supplier management folder right now where we have some type of attached document here. You can see it's a PDF. I can copy that and then go back into Plex somewhere, let's say here in my webinar, and then I can actually paste that document. At that point in time, I can make changes to its properties, click update, and there it is. It's now in this folder. Now I could go back into the UAS and actually delete it if I needed to, because it's now here in this folder. Great question. I don't know too many customers that do such a thing, but that's an interesting way to handle it. And remember that documents, if I drill back into the details here, documents can be made inactive. So you could inactivate a document so it doesn't appear, but still search for inactive documents to find it in Plex, just like you can any other record in Plex.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions? We got just a couple minutes left.
Hi, Ken. This is Pam Brewster.
Hey, Pam.
I have a quick question about the revision log.
Yes.
Is there a way to shut off the hyperlink when there's a document pending?
A hyperlink.
So we're the 4/7/20/10:33 a.m.
Yeah.
So if it's a pending document, if revision history is turned on, then a person can open it up and see something that's not approved yet.
Oh, that's a great question.
So we've been having that issue, and the only way we could fix it was shutting off the rev log. But I have a lot of users that go in the rev log to be able to see at a quick glance what was changed, but now they can't.
Okay. Again, so Pam, I'm going to take your name down and I'm going to look into that for you. And I can either answer this in the upcoming session, or I can get something out to the attendees of this meeting just to let them know what was discovered. That makes sense to me. And what would be the reason you would want to view it?
So I do have some users that will go into the rev log because we use very detailed of what was changed on a work instruction procedure. Mm-hmm. And we only put what was changed in the rev log. So it's a quick way for them to go in the rev log to see what was changed without reading the whole procedure.
Okay. Let me look into some options that we have for that. If I can read into what you're saying, what you don't want to do is give them the ability to edit. You just want to give them the ability to view, to see what was edited before it's approved.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. The great question. That's I can see some advantages to that, and it may be something that does exist that I'm not aware of, or maybe something that we can kind of point out to Plex, and maybe there is a need. So good question. I'll get back with you on that, Pam.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, just maybe time for one more question, and then we're going to try to end right at 12 Eastern. All right, so with no more questions, I just want to thank everybody again for your participation. Thanks for hanging in with me there for a second while we got the little glitch fixed. I'm glad we were able to get through that. And just want to say, as time allows, we'll continue doing these sessions like this. If you like what you see here, we'll add you to our mailing list. Please share with anyone. This is not limited to just Control+M customers. It's for the good of the Plex community as a whole. If you belong to a user group, you know that those aren't meeting right now. So these think of this as an online user group. We'll post this actual recording to our YouTube channel and website as soon as we're done here. And again, want to thank everybody for attending. Want to wish you and your coworkers and your loved ones health and safety and a very fast recovery for your business. And please feel free to share this with others. So with that, I've got one more slide that I do want to share, and that's the upcoming presentation that I think is going to be next week. Jill should be sending out to the group again a date and time, but the subject is going to be classic and UX security. How do we handle a rapid workforce expansion or contraction? So when it comes to contraction, How do we access IP control in Classic, and how to disable users in both UX and Classic, how to change passwords, how to see login history to tell someone the last time someone's actually logged in, blocking VisionPlex buttons like download. And then for rapid expansion, when we all come back, how do we get these employees into the system again? How do we get them active? Maybe by using security roles. And then just like we saw with the document approver and owner and champion reassignment, there's also a workflow reassignment. So if we have people that are going to be on temporary layoff, but they are key and integral parts of our process workflows, how do we replace them with somebody temporarily until they come back on board? So to get on our mailing list or to even suggest future potential ideas, please email Jill@control.m.solutions, and we'll take care of you. So thanks again, everybody, for attending. I'm going to stop recording now, and have a great day. Thanks.